draw your attention once again to the 26 national flags behind the band, representing each of the Vietnam veterans who paid the ultimate sacrifice in the battles of Conall and Balmoral. We thank Mengtang Grammar School cadets for their participation today. Royal Australian Regiment. And the units that follow on.
tall ships come. For 40,000 years I've been the first Australian. I came upon the prison ship, bowed down by iron chains. I cleared the land, endured the lash, and waited for the rains.
I'm a settler, I'm a farmer's wife on a trailer paving around.
A convict, then a free man, I became Australian.
I'm the daughter of a digger who started out with the mother. The girl became a woman on the long and dusty road.
I'm a child of the Depression, I saw the good times come. I'm a bushy, I'm a battler, I am Australian. We are one, but we are many, and from all the lands on earth we come. We share our dream and sing with one voice. I am, you are, we are Australian. We are one, but we are many, and from all the lands on earth we come. We share our dream and sing with one voice. I am, you are, we are Australian. I am, you are, we are Australian.
Something happened here, but it isn't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there, telling me I'm not to swear. Every time you stop, children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Everybody's right if everybody's wrong. Young people speak their mind. Resistance far behind the family stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. All the heat, 1,000 people in the street, singing songs and a carrying signs, mostly say hooray for our side. It's time to stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Your life it will be. It starts when you're always afraid. Step out of line, the man come and take you away. We better stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop now. What's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop.
Reflections of the war in Vietnam. Vietnam veterans montage of images of the unique Australian services, Allied services and joint operations that took place during those years. It's with a great deal of pleasure that we thank the Eltham College Band for their version of I Am Australian, and thank you again to the Mentone Cadets, Mentone Grammar School Cadets, for their carriage of 26 flags. Chaplain John Brownville, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Chaplain John Brownville for the opening prayer.
O God, our ruler and our guide, in whose hands are the destinies of this and every nation, we give you thanks for the freedoms we enjoy in this land, and for those who laid down their lives to defend them. We pray that we and all the people of Australia, gratefully remembering the courage and sacrifice of Vietnam veterans, may have grace to live in a spirit of justice and generosity and peace. Through Jesus Christ our Lord, who lives and reigns in you and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Mr. Bob Elworthy, Victorian State President, Vietnam Veterans Association of Australia, Victoria Branch, will address us now. Bob Elworthy.
It's my privilege today to welcome our special guests who honour us with their presence today. I understand Armageddon's about Portland, so we'll get on with this as quickly as we can. I'd like to especially welcome the Honourable Daniel Andrews MP, the Premier of Victoria, the Honourable John Aaron, MLA Minister for Veterans, the Honourable Matthew Dyer, Leader of the State Opposition, the Vice Marshal Chris Spence AO, Chair of the Shrine Trustees and other trustees, Mr Dean Lee, Shrine Executive Officer, Ms Sue Ann Harrison, Victorian Deputy Commissioner, Department of Veterans Affairs, Dr Rob Webster, OIM President, RSL Victorian Branch, Colonel Lauren Grimes, Victorian Veterans Council, Mr Jim Findlay, US Vice Consul General Melbourne and Mrs Findlay. A particularly warm welcome to our Australian Defence Force representatives, Captain Oborne of the Royal Australian Navy, Brigadier Sweden and Wing Commander Rogers. I also extend a warm welcome to all the presidents and representatives of the various associations and ex-service organisations who join with us today, and in particular representatives of the Vietnamese community. Particularly thank the Premier and the Minister for veterans for their personal support, involvement and interest in the activities of the Victorian Vietnam veterans community. We are the envy of every other state. I also wish to thank Air Vice Marshal Chris Spence and the Shrine Trustees for their patience, support and goodwill in assisting us to conduct today's commemorations in a somewhat different vein. So welcome one and all to the 52nd anniversary of the Battle of Long Tan, and today we remember the service and sacrifice of all who served our great nation during the Vietnam conflict, and in particular the 521 who lost their lives, who would be delighted to be with us today. We remember also the thousands who were wounded and those who still suffer the effects of that war. And today we will also particularly remember and commemorate those who fought and those who lost their lives during the battles of Fire Support Bases Coral and Balmoral. Let's have a great day. Let's honour the dead like we always do, and then fight like hell for the living.
We welcome the Premier of Victoria, the Honourable Daniel Andrews MP.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Can I begin my remarks by acknowledging the traditional owners of this land and pay my deep personal respects to elders past and present. the ministerial and parliamentary colleagues John Aaron and Matthew Guy, the extraordinary Bob Elworth, President of the Veterans Association of Australia, the Vice Marshal, Chris Spence, Chair of the Shrine of Trustees, Tim Finlay, US Vice Consul General in Melbourne, and other members of the Consular Corps, the representatives of our Defence Forces, and a special acknowledgement and a moment to reflect upon those who this very moment serve in the defence of our freedom, both here at home and abroad. To the many, many representatives of ex-service organisations, the many, many other distinguished guests that are here with us today, particularly members of the Vietnamese community, but above all, ladies and gentlemen, to veterans, their partners, their families. It is we who are honoured to be in your presence today. I'd like to begin by quoting the words of former Governor General William Dean, words that are inscribed on the walls of this shrine forever. Anzac, he said, was not merely about loss. It's about courage and endurance and duty and love of country. It's about mateship and good humour and the survival of a sense of self-worth and decency in the face of dreadful odds. We share these words today because although they were written for the Gallipoli campaign, I think they are just as fitting for our Vietnam veterans. Because you are courageous. You love your country. You did endure. And you did it all with a sense of mateship and humour, self-worth and decency, all in the face of those dreadful odds. In this, the 50th anniversary of 1968, the costliest year in that long war, we honour those that made that profound sacrifice. We honour those who served so well. We also honour those in the Battle of Coral and Balmoral, and those 26 young men, 8 of them Victorian, who made the ultimate sacrifice. 50 years on from that 26-day-long battle, it remains a testament to raw grit and determination. At the same time, somehow, it was only earlier this year, with the support and the urging of the Victorian government, that the Commonwealth announced that it would make a unit citation of gallantry available to those who fought in Coral and Balmoral. 50 years on, and only now are they getting the true recognition. Of course, that's a common theme for our Vietnam veterans. On land, at sea, and in the air. Thousands upon thousands of you served this nation. And yet, when it came to receiving the recognition so rightfully yours, we let you down. Instead, we left you to fight yet another battle. The battle for basic entitlements. The battle for respect and recognition. But as always you persevered. That is the true story of our Vietnam veterans. A story of survival, a story of strength, and a story of service. 50 years on, that is your legacy. 50 years, and in 50 years' time, that will still be your legacy. Because as that account of Anzac I shared with you earlier says, you served your nation. You did your duty. You helped your mates. And when you got home, you had the courage and the strength and the decency to do it all over again. Today and every day, we honour your service. Today and every day, we honour you and your families. We pay tribute, solemn tribute to those who have returned home. And we commit to ensuring the legacy of that war, the bravery of our Australian men and women who served, is never forgotten. Let's leave together.
My name is Graham Christie. I was a national serviceman, 7th intake from 1967 through to 69. In that time, I was trained as a radio operator and went to Vietnam late 67. During that time, I was put into the Australian Task Force as a radio operator in the operations. And on the 12th of May 1968, we flew from Long Bin in the Huey helicopter and landed in the middle of nowhere with rubber plantation and long grassland undulating with a bit of chaos at the time. But at the time we actually jumped out of the chopper and were told where to put our pits. However, as night fell, heavy rain fell, and we were now in mud, in pitch black, and it started to get a bit unnerving, particularly for national servicemen who are a long way from home. Later on in the evening, early morning, I just finished my shift and was leaving, and we were hit with a saturation of hundreds of mortar and RPG rounds landing in our small area with only, at that time, not a full contingent of troops for the fire support base. We all feared that we were in deep trouble. As it turned out, we found out later that on our north, which is where the enemy were coming from, we were totally caught out by that because we were facing south to ensure and pick off any of the incursions that the Viet Cong were probably doing in Saigon. And at that time what we didn't know was that there were thousands of MBA coming from the north to go to Saigon to actually rip it apart and destroy everything they could. And unfortunately everything stood in their way. Fire support base corridor was in their way. During the mortar barrage, many of us probably weakened a little bit, but then to make it even worse, noises started to arise and then a human wave assault took place. They outnumbered us and they were only 30 to 40 metres away from us, coming in from the north with our exposed mortar platoon, unfortunately on the perimeter. As the battle went on and the fighting went on, fortunately the order was made to lower the guns to the horizontal, and they fired directly over the heads of the mortar platoon, which saved hundreds of lives of Australians. It was a very unnerving experience. I'd come from a background of VFA football and playing Premier cricket in Melbourne, very fit, very strong, very opinionated, confident, and within a short matter of moments I was reduced to hopelessness because I was defenceless and couldn't do anything about it. I didn't have a pit, I was out in the open, and it was a time of my life that I thought that I was definitely going to die that night. One funny thing I should mention is that while I was in Long Bin, I managed to nick a gridiron ball from the Marines. They didn't care, they had enough. But I pulled it out on about the 20th day, and I said to my mate Terry Hunter that why don't we have kick to kick, because they played cricket at Gallipoli, and we did. The battles of Coral Balmoral have affected me all my life, but I still feel proud to have served with those great men. And I'm glad the Australian government has recognised their deeds.
My name is Norm Peatling. I was the platoon commander of 12th Platoon D Company of the 3rd Battalion of the Royal Australian Regiment. Our arrival at Balmoral is a story in itself. We were out in a company patrol base about 4 kilometres west of the eventual base of Balmoral, and we were ordered to walk by foot in pitch black, on a pitch black night, for about 4 kilometres, as I said, towards that area of Balmoral. We were in an area of significant enemy activity, and during that long march towards the area of Balmoral, we came in contact with the enemy more than half a dozen times. Bravo Company came in by armoured personnel carriers, and the 2 companies, B and D companies, secured that area, and later in the afternoon an American helicopter squadron dropped the rest of the battalion in. So it was only into the late afternoon on the 24th of May that the battalion was secure on the ground. Supplies started to come in to secure the base as far as battalion defences were concerned. There was a lot of work to be done in getting pits dug, weapon pits dug, gun pits dug, wire put out in front of our position, fire lanes organised, and actual positioning on the ground that gave us the best advantage if we were attacked. Fortunately for us, the enemy left us alone obviously on the day of the 25th, where we continued to work patrolling the areas outside the base, but also trying to get ourselves deeper into the ground and make the wire perimeter a much more secure area. At that night, or on the night of the 25th, while we were in a better position probably than that first night at Coral, we still had not completed our defences to a level that anyone would say was correct or good enough for the time. Early in the morning of the 26th of May, around 2:30, 3 o'clock, just can't remember the exact time, the first thing I can remember is hearing the mortar primaries pop off at the other side of a large clearing in front of Delta Company's position. The enemy fired 60 and 82mm mortars into our position, walked them right through our position, and caused significant casualties in the battalion, including one of my platoon private soldiers who was killed in the barrage when a mortar bomb landed in his shell scrape. Our base was attacked by what was estimated to be a battalion-sized force, and they directed their attack to our front, and in our position, to the right of our position, were 2 tanks from the C Squadron, 1st Armoured Regiment. My belief is that they were looking to clear through the infantry to get to those tanks and neutralise the tanks' ability to rain significant armoured pressure on them. The facts are, this firefight which took place went for around about 2 hours, and the impression I can never forget is the din of the battle. Rock-propelled grenades coming our way, tracing in the air, mortars being fired by our own mortar platoon. Guns started to come in from Cole, who supported us with the artillery. We eventually had a spooky or Puff the Magic Dragon converted DC-3, which fired miniguns from their fuselage into the enemy positions. A lot of traces going through the air and up to those aircraft. We had unfortunately, we did not only people killed, but a number were wounded by shrapnel, mortar shrapnel, and RPG round shrapnel as well. What has stayed with me over the last 50 years is the pride that I have in having served alongside the very brave and professional men of my platoon, of Delta Company, of 3 Battalion, and all the supporting arms that were involved in the defence and fire support base, Balmoral and Coral. I did write home to my father the morning after the second attack on the 28th of May, and I said to him just how proud I was to have served alongside these men that, in their own way, served exactly in the manner of the Anzacs that had gone before them.
passing out parade at Puckapunyal. It was a long march from cadets. The 6th Battalion was the next to tour, and it was me who drew the card. We did Canungra and Shoalwater before we left, and Townsville lined the footpaths as we marched down to the quay. This clipping from the paper shows us young and strong and clean. And there's me in me slouch hat with me SLR and greens. God help me, I was only 19. From Bungtown riding Chinooks to the dusted Nui Dap, I've been in and out of choppers now for months, and we made our tents a home PB and pin-ups on the lockers, and an Asian orange sunset through the scrub. Then can you tell me, doctor, why I still can't get to sleep? And night time's just a jungle dark and a barking M16. And what's this rash that comes and goes? Can you tell me what it means? God help me, I was only 19. A 4-week operation where each step could be your last one on 2 legs. It was a war within yourself, but you wouldn't let your mates down till they had you dusted off. So you closed your eyes and you thought about something else. And then someone yelled out, "Contact!" and the bloke behind me swore. We hooked in there for hours, then a God Almighty roar. And Frankie kicked a mine the day that mankind kicked the moon. God help me, he was going home in June. And I can still see Frankie drinking tinnies in the Grand Hotel on a 36-hour wreck leaving Funtown. And I can still hear Frankie lying screaming in the jungle till the morphine came and killed the bloody row. And the Anzac legends didn't mention mud and blood and tears, and the stories that my father told me never seemed quite real. I caught some pieces in my back that I didn't even feel. God help me, I was only 19. And can you tell me, doctor, why I still can't get to sleep? And why the Channel 7 chopper chills me to my feet? And what's this rash that comes and goes? Can you tell me what it means? God help me, I was only 19.
Private Abbott DE from Ashfield, 21 years of age. Private Bailey EJ from Curry, 23. Private Brown LN from Bendigo, 22. Private Cooper AJ from Rose Park, 19. Major Constable GA from Kyoto, 32. Corporal Dawson IJ from Sydney, 24. Private Desney JW from Melbourne, 22. Corporal Hickey RB, Sydney, 24. Sergeant Lewis P.E. from Geraldton, 24. Lance Corporal Martin W.H., Winton, 22. Private McNabb R.L. from Melbourne, 20. Private Nisbet C.R. from Wynnum, 20. Private O'Brien J.A. from Sydney, 20. Corporal Pierce J.G. from Sydney, 20. Gunner Sawtell C.J. Mudgee, 19. Gunner Scott I.J. Camperdown, 21. Private Shepherd L.R. from Melbourne, 20. Private Thomas W.M. from Adelaide, 21. Private Trimble B.M. from Bendigo, 21. Private Wallace A.J. Wingham, 21. Private Watson R.C.A. from Manchester, England, 20. Private White H.W. from Gladesville, 23. Corporal Witten J.H. Bells Hill, Scotland, 29. Private Wall J.T. from Melbourne, 21. Signalman Young A.H. from Murwillumbah, 21. Private Young B.T. from Brisbane, 21.
Guard Commander, please march on the catafalque party. With the catafalque party now in position, we move to the wreath laying ceremony, and I do invite forward the Honourable Daniel Andrews, MP, Victorian Premier, and the Honourable John Aaron, Victorian Minister for Veterans Affairs, and Mr Bob Elworthy, State President, Vietnam Veterans Association Australia, the Victoria Branch. I invite forward Mr Perry Neal and Mr Tom Lockridge, 1 RAR Fire Support Base, Coral, and Mr Peter Fraser, 3 RAR Balmoral. Association Victoria Branch Education Team, Mr Bob Edgell, Mr Sandy McCann, Ballarat, and Mr John Howard, Box Hill. Mr Peter Blackman, Echuca, Mr K.C. Jones, Frankston, Mr Calvin Park, Geelong District, Mr Rennie Wainhoff. Veterans Association Headquarters, Mr Terry Cartledge, or Maryborough, Mr Danny McIver, Mornington Peninsula, Mr John Miles. Clayton. Outer Eastern Melbourne, Mr. Amat bin Noor. Australian Engineers Vietnam Veterans Association Victoria, Mr. Alan Brown, and Royal Australian Army Electrical and Mechanical Engineers Vietnam Southern Chapter, Mr. Robert Gazzara, and 161 Recce Independent Squadron Army, step forward. Of the Veterans Association, Mrs. Cheryl Myers. To also step off from Carry On, Mr. Clive Usher. National Servicemen's Association Victoria, Ted Eastman. Civilian Medical and Surgical Teams Vietnam, Mrs. Barbara Sutherland. And Vietnam Veterans of America, Chapter 858, Ms. Rona Adams. Vietnamese Veterans Victoria, Mr. Dan Huang and Mr. Viet Long Nguyen. And Vietnamese community, Mr. Bon Nguyen, Ms. Viv Nguyen and Mr. Dinh Tran. School Cadet Corps, Anna Lofthouse, Isabel Varillis, and Tessa Stiles. And Eltham College Band, Olivia Rizzo and Reuben Hawkes. floral tribute, would you please come forward now? Grammar School Cadet Corps, representing not only the school but the Vietnam veterans today so beautifully, and the Eltham College Band who represented their college in exemplary fashion and representing all Vietnam veterans. Completes the wreath laying part of today's commemoration. All those who can stand, able-bodied persons, please stand for the ode to be delivered today by Mr. Barry Brewer, 3 Royal Australian Regiment, Coral Balmoral veteran. Cadets to attention, Barry Brewer.
They shall grow not old, as the we are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. Lest we forget.
As the cadets prepare to step off and march back to their seats, I bring your attention to the bugle calls today were delivered by musician Sam Lapham. Chaplain John Brownbill to step forward to deliver the closing prayer and blessing.
Let us pray. Ever-loving God, look mercifully upon the unrest of the world and draw all mankind to yourself and to one another in bonds of peace. Grant understanding to the nations with an increase of sympathy and mutual goodwill, that they may be united in a true brotherhood of justice and mercy, of truth and freedom, for the betterment of mankind and the furtherance of your kingdom. God, grant to the living grace, to the departed rest, to the Queen, the leaders of the nations of the world, the Commonwealth and all mankind, peace and concord, and to us and to all your faithful servants, life everlasting. Amen. May the Lord bless us and keep us. May the Lord make his face to shine upon us and be gracious to us. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon us and give us peace. Amen.
Would you please remain upstanding for the national anthem? Cadet Flag Party, please be upstanding. The national anthem will lead us all in the singing of the national anthem. Able seaman musician Laura Nichols. Guard Commander, please stand down the catapult party. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the ceremony today. Others wishing to place a wreath or floral tribute at the eternal flame are invited to do so now. And on behalf of the Victorian branch of Vietnam Veterans Association Australia, Victoria branch, thank you for your attendance today. And especially a huge thank you to the Eltham College Band and the Mentone Grammar Cadets. We thank you sincerely for your representation today, doing your schools proud and the veterans. We thank the Army Band Melbourne and the Australian Defence Force members for their support of today's commemoration. I'm Peter Meehan, wish you a very good morning, or is it a good afternoon? It is a good afternoon, escaping the rain, and enjoy the commemoration for the balance of this day with mates and your loved ones.